There was a time where racetracks were less about corners and more about top speed. While modern circuits tend to be much more technical, Road America is a throwback to days gone by. There's long straights, close barriers, and plenty of beautiful Midwestern foliage to shade the winding tarmac. These cars will feel right at home. But it's the final round and the drivers are not here to relax. We'll find out today who takes home the crown as we get ready to watch round 12 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, we've come to wrap things up in the land of the cheeseheads. Tell us about Road America.
Well, Joe, they got to work on the grounds here in 1955. And it's located just between Milwaukee and Green Bay in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's absolutely gorgeous up here. If you've never been up to this part of the United States, please make plans to get up here to this beautiful track in Wisconsin. Now, it's 640 acres, park-like grounds offering great viewing opportunities all over the place, great camping facilities. But let's talk about the racetrack a bit. It's 4 miles. It's a monster. 14 turns here on this road circuit, and it really plays like no other, Joe. It's a classic here in the United States. It's challenged the world's best race car drivers for over 60 years now. Why don't we take a lap around America's National Park of Speed?
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod and the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Road America. Coming down the front stretch, turn 1 offers a great place to pass, but the corner isn't as slow as you'd expect. That means you won't always be able to do it by outbraking someone. Be careful about dipping wheels off on the exit, and then very quickly you're into turn 3. This is easily one of the most important corners of the track because of it leading onto the moraine sweep. Lining up your exit and getting the power down confidently will make a huge difference to your lap time and hopefully keep you safer from attack. That's because turn 5 is one of the most popular places to overtake. It's got heavy downhill braking from a very high-speed section though, so expect a few drivers to overshoot it throughout the day. Try not to be one of them. From off of there, you'll have a short climb up to turn 6 where the crest can make braking late pretty tricky. It's not hard to miss the apex. After that, you'll switch sides quick to line up turn 7 into the hurry downs. You'll still need a lift through this fast bend, and then if you get a good run, there's sometimes a chance for a sneaky pass into turn 8. Be very careful about how greedy you are on the power coming out of this corner. The turbo lag can loop you easily. Now we're in the carousel, which is a long and patience-trying sweeper. Try not to slip wide into the marbles or else it's a fast trip to the gravel. The best thing to do here is to try to set the car up for the exit to give yourself a good launch. With all the downforce on the Nissan, it means there's no lifting through the notorious kink. The kettle bottoms will weave you through the trees, and then you'll have to stomp the brakes for Canada Corner. This is where a lot of battles wind up in a last lap dive to get by. But as always, you've got to be careful with your right foot as you return to the power. The walls are ready to collect you on either side if you spin. Through the blind 13A, you'll be feathering the throttle, then get ready for the final turn. The curved braking makes it tough to maximize your entry, but it's the exit that should really concern you. Making sure to get a run up the hill is make or break for this lap and the next one. Hopefully, you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Road America.
Decently long lap, but the Nissan really whips around here with the top speed and the cornering speed that it has. We're in qualifying right now, so let's take a chance to look at the points championship, starting with the Nissan Drivers Championship. Look at how close it is, 26 points between Richie and Lepisto. That can absolutely change as they do use the official iRacing drivers points. They do have drop weeks, however. You can see that Lepisto and Richie have quite a bit in their pocket, and that can affect things. But anyways, as we look down the order, it's not as close between Hall, Olenek, and Ihamaki. So those three are pretty much solidified where they are. Now, looking over at the team's championship rather, the race is even closer between All-American Racers and the Busby Miller High Life team. Of course, it's basically Finns versus Americans up there. And then everything else below that, you can just pretty much forget. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are in the order that they will be. Bayside Motorsports West and Nissan Motorsports are 3rd, 4th, and 5th, respectively. Sean, what about the Audis?
Let's take a look at what's going on here in the Audi field. Joe, it's been a great season, but Villarola has all but secured this championship now. And Ove Trengrade fought hard, had a great race earlier today, and will finish second here in this championship because Ben Laughter is quite a ways back there in third. But look at that. Michael Houghton, who has been solid this season here in the Camel GT Series, just 4 points behind Laughter there. Brian Shanahan will look to take fifth in this points championship, but a lot to watch there as third and fourth are still to be contested here in the driver standings. Let's look at the team championship standings now. And it is the Justin Berry Team Valvoline. They're up top. They will claim that championship today with 1,096 points going into this final round. Mind Trick Commodore looks to hold on to second, and Leitziger Racing will take third. Not very close in this championship. Mind Trick Motorsports Windows will finish just outside the top three and fourth.
With this being official racing, they're out on a lone qualifying right now. And the Audis are going to take a little bit longer before they get their first time lapped in. But the Nissans are starting to tumble in with Keith Ritchie topping the charts. Carl Janssen back again in the Nissans after what was an up and down race at Oulton Park, putting it lightly, has got himself onto the front row, provisionally at least.
So and our first times are coming in the Audis. Kika with a 2:06.9.
Shanahan gets himself into second. What about the rest of them? Watching Brian Shanahan, that's Pedro Freire, gets himself into third. Coivisto, not a bad showing from him. Oh, and now they're really starting to come in as John Malia goes up to the top. Michael Houghton currently on the front row in second in those Audis. What about Ove Trangarade? He just came off of a disappointing second place over at Phillip Island, but it was a spirited fight in the Lotus 49s earlier this morning. So as he comes across the line, afternoon, evening for him, I suppose, he goes up to the pole. Ooh. Could this be the second pole of the day for Trangarade?
Man, Ove is really finishing out season one really, really well here, Joe.
Carl Janssen is going to come across the line. He's currently third, actually, as Ardo Yamaki takes the pole away from Ritchie. What does Janssen do? He improves his time, but he sits still. No, he doesn't. He loses another spot as Olenek finds some time. This is a fantastic lap from Rob.
He's going to shut down after that one. That was good stuff.
Jamie Hall gets himself into seventh. Jeffrey Oakley, who just comes across the line, is not going to have a starting time, so he's going to be at the back of the Nissans, unfortunately. Fabian Jungbluth also waiting to get a lap time in. I believe he's on his second. Yes, he is.
Comes Brian Shanahan back around for another lap. And that is not an improvement for him. He'll stay back there in ninth.
Ooh, that's not going to help him, although passing has plenty of opportunities. Michel de Jong comes in fourth. Nice showing from him. Also good to see him back. We were watching Jungbluth a little bit ago. He will start 14th at best as he completes his time.
Okay. Can I ask why Phil Lake would be in an Audi today?
Did he goof? Or is this just a lark?
I don't know.
Well, he's got a paint scheme on the car, so I'm assuming he's just decided it's the last race of the season. So as Jamie Hall finishes his second lap, he does not improve, so Jamie Hall will do no better than seventh. Well, Franco Scurry, haven't watched him in a bit. Had a bit of another one with a chaotic race at Oulton Park. Very few people did not have chaotic races last weekend. So currently sitting in eighth in the GTO class as he climbs up that notorious hill to the start-finish line. It looks like he is not going to improve. So that 206.1 will sit still.
Boy, I was just going to say, not many improving on that second lap, Joe.
Not many are still out there. And actually, that's it. That's all the time we have. So let's go through the grid. Ardo Ihamaki starting on the pole. And remember, this is important in the team's championship. He is racing against that All-American team, which is farther down the order. Rob Olenek will be on the outside of row 1. And then you get to one of his competitors fighting for that team's championship. Keith Ritchie starts third. And he's got Carl Jansen, who is not in any of the championships, fighting from fourth. Fabian Gerber will start in fifth, followed by Steve Bycroft over from the Lotus 79s. He'll start in sixth today, alongside the car of Jamie Hall. Clayton McLeod will start in eighth with Nicholas Mukanos in ninth. And Theodore Burns, that's a name I'm not really familiar with. I'm not sure if this is his first race over in the Camels. He'll start in the top 10. John Keefe will be P11 at the Wave of the Green. Martin Krejcik, a regular here, he'll be 12th with Lewis Emerton starting 13th. Fabian Jungbluth will be 14th. John Hill will be 15th. And P16 will go to David Miller. Jeffrey Oakley, as we mentioned, did not get a time. Will start in the back of the Nissan. Sean?
Joe, what a field today. We got a beautiful car count, 34 of them, 17 Nissans, 17 Audis. Let me give you the Audis now. Ove Trengrade starting on the pole. Right there with Willy Raola, John Maya, Michel de Jong on row 2. Michael Houghton, Stefan Schlacker, they're on row 3. Pedro Ferreira will start 7th with Franco Scurti. Philip Lake, yes, Philip, in and around the lake, will start 9th in an Audi today, right alongside Ben Laughter. Ben's probably shaking his head going, what's going on here? Marco Kika starting 11th. Brian Shanahan, 12th. Hideki Koivitso to start 13th today, right along with Spencer Kemble. Tanner McCullough going to start 15th, 16th. Riley Thompson and Alan Davison, the Australian. Yes, Alan, from all the way down under, competing with us today. He will start 17th.
And even the drivers are getting confused at these two names. I know they're very close. Anybody who might be hopping over from RaceSpot watching the Bathurst race, no, Mitchell de Jong and Michel de Jong are two different people. Because Philip, it was John. We have momentary technical difficulties. We'll get picture back soon, but I see in the chat that John Hill piped up saying, I could have swore I saw Michel running over at Bathurst just moments ago. So, no, that's Mitchell de Jong.
Oh, and apparently Phil is getting acclimated to the Audi in preparation for season 2. Planning to run the Audi next season. All right, good stuff.
So hopefully we'll get that sorted out soon. There we go. Now we have picture back. Now that we've got that, why don't we go through our race details for today and get you up to speed in case you've never watched the iRacing Camel GT Series. Last round of the season. We do 12 rounds, with this being official racing, and they get 4 drops for the points championship on the driver's side, 6 of them over on the team side. They're a little bit more lenient there. This is a sprint race today, 40 minutes. They do longer ones at about 60 minutes, which means you don't expect any fuel stops out there. Now, there is no incident cap in the series, and that did come into play last week, where we saw some drivers go a little bit over the top at Old Park. It should be a lot cleaner today. This is a little less tricky out there. And they have no free repair, just a reminder. So if you break it, you bought it. And out here today, there's a few trouble spots to worry about in terms of that, Sean.
Well, Joe, there's always trouble to be found at Road America. It's a long course, as we discussed in the beginning. Turn 6, you got to watch yourself there. It's a tough left-hander. Turn 7, back the other way and down through the Hurry Downs. You got to watch yourself. The kink, never easy for most cars. It's going to be tough on that Audi today. It's tough to go wide open through there in the King Canada corner. Getting slowed down, finding the right line through there will always be tricky for the Nissan and the Audi today. I expect to maybe see a parking lot at some point if they don't sort things out before they get there. And then as we get to the end of the circuit, turn 13A, that last little stretch there before you get to the last right-hander onto the front stretch, a bit tough. we'll have to watch out. It could be trouble.
Lion crest there. I feel like that's the sneaky corner in this track. It doesn't really get a lot of mention, but I found in almost every car it can catch you out with the way it's that blind crest and it's a fast kink, you know?
Sneaky.
So we come to Canada Corner with the Nissans, the faster GTP class. Got to watch out in that team's championship, of course. Let's see what Keith Ritchie can do a little bit farther back. Start can always be interesting as that pace car peels off early. You can catch some drivers out if you get a good run up the hill. So, Roof pace car getting ready to let go of Ardo Ihimaki. He's now got control on the pole of the field. He gets a great jump on Rob Olenek and immediately starts to stretch away. Carl Jansen has nowhere to go. That gives Keith Ritchie an opportunity to start to sneak up the inside. He's got his nose there as they come up to turn one, and he's looking a little bit braver on the brakes as they come to this first right-hander. Everybody looks to be clean through. Let's go to the GTOs.
Joe, Ove gets off to a great start, gets out for everybody. They're already battling down into turn one, though, side by side. Everybody having to make a decision here. Ooh, really, really close.
Jean Malia was screaming up the inside, but Koivisto, did he have a problem?
Yes, he did, Joe. Big problem. We'll bookmark that. We'll get back to it, but big trouble for him and for Marco Kika.
Oh, we got problems in the Nissans. That was John Keefe getting tipped sideways. They're now 3 wide, almost 4 wide, as that was Martin Krejcierik to the outside, having to take to the grass just to try and survive. Eventually, they sorted out, and amazingly, everybody's still going. Fabian Jungluth, that's who you're watching in the blue and white, going off on turn 7, one of the trouble zones we mentioned. Whoa, way off for Lewis Emerton.
Wow. Craziness abounds.
Yeah, finds his way back on, but as Bill likes to say, off into the alfalfa for Emerton. Everybody's still going to the Nissans.
Not so much the case in the Audis as Koivisto and Kika are in the pit, Joe.
Sad to see. Your order up at the top is Ihimaki, Ritchie, and Jansen. Olenek with a horrible start sends him back to 4th. Let's take a look at what happened in the Audis. And as we're watching that, just a quick update. Keith Ritchie had a bad exit, and he's going to lose a bunch of positions on the front stretch. Now, this is Marco Kika we're watching. Ooh, a little bit of side-to-side contact sent Kika into the wall as he tries to gather it back together. And, boy, poor Koivisto in the number 30 just got caught by surprise. Let's see. I think we're going to watch on board. You can see it happening, Sean. He made about 2 or 3 decisions, and each time it looked like the right one.
And the last one was the wrong one. Yeah, just really, really unfortunate. That's heavy damage on both of those cars, obviously.
As we come back live, watching John Malia still in second, trying to challenge Traingrade for the lead. And that incident with Keith Ritchie sent him back to 4th. He was able to stop the bleeding as Jamie Hall approached on the front stretch. So he's got some ground to make up. Boy, that fight in the Audis up at the front really is the hottest one. Traingrade having to fend off at almost every corner. John Malia. These things punch just a huge hole in the air, so I have to imagine draft battles are going to be a thing here.
Well, yeah, they are. And I mean, look at this line. You've got drafting. You've got Ruola, Schlacker, De Jong, Houghton, all line astern, all with just in about half a second of each other.
How about Schlacker in 4th? We've seen him a couple times. I recognize the name.
Yeah, he was here last week.
But the Audi drivers, boy, the best of the best come out of the woodworks. So for Schlacker to be up into 4th says something about his pace right away. He's that blue, white, and black car that you see in line.
Another great DH driver. That's all everybody needs.
It's just not fair. They have too much talent.
I know.
So we see them weave their way down the not very straight kettle bottoms that take you down into Canada Corner. Tough braking zone in this car. A little bit of smoke as Rolla locks him up coming through that right-hander. And then completing yet another lap. Back up to the prototypes. That lead is not solid anymore as Carl Janssen has got a fire lit under him. He salvaged a podium last week at Bolton Park. It didn't look like he would, as he had severe problems early on, but just everybody kept falling into problems of their own and somehow kept it clean, returned to third position. Today, he's looking to go 2 steps higher, currently sitting in second, and they are streaking away from Olenek.
Yeah, Janssen had an interesting run last time out, and well, I don't know. Maybe he bolstered his Christmas card list. Maybe he didn't.
Well, one thing I would like to see from Janssen next season if he returns is I'd love to see him throw his hat in the ring on the championship. These drivers do have to weigh in. They're not automatically entered into the Drivers' Championship. And he came out swinging at the start of this season, Sean. And we've seen him switch cars, and on top of it, he didn't elect to try and compete. So, Carl, if you're watching this later, boy, get in this fight. You are a major contender.
He's probably watching it now, Joe. Yeah, no, Carl definitely wants you back, but I'll tell you what, he's really taking it to Iamaki right now.
Iamaki was... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that last lap, man, if you see the time, Janssen was just a tick quicker.
Iamaki was all the way to the inside. We saw him bob back to the outside when he knew he was safe. So this Finn really doesn't feel safe, even though he's got about half a second over Carl at the moment. Watching that 007 cam. And the same thing once again. He moves back to the racing line. Very late. Oh, as it looks like Janssen much better in the braking zone. He gains another 0.2. Almost have to keep our head on a swivel as both our leads very much under threat.
Yeah, Maya's given plenty of chase here to our leader, Ove Trengerade.
Well, when he's taking a look down to the inside, here goes Malia, the Norwegian, trying to hold on the long way around. If he can keep the speed up, he does not. Here comes Malia. It's a drag race down to turn 3. And all this is doing is bringing Willy Rolla into this. We could have a 3-way fight for P1. Still side by side coming off of turn 3. Here comes Rolla with a great run, but he is blocked in with no place to go. He's going to sit in the popcorn position and let these two sort it out as we come down for the 3rd corner in a row where they're still door to door. Trangrade better on the brakes this time, and this time he's got the inside line. Malia gives it up and slots back into second, but he goes for the over-under. Holds off as they come over the crest for 6.
Trangrade's been fighting all day, Joe. Not even half the day is not even complete, and this man's been fighting all morning, all afternoon over there in Europe.
His nerves are getting a workout, that is for sure. And these 3 have to worry as well, because it's not just 3 cars. Stefan Schlacker, as well as Michel de Jong and Michael Houghton, could come up and make it a 6-car fight.
I almost feel sorry for Ben Lafter, who's sitting back here in 7th, hasn't made one mistake, but finds himself 3.5 seconds back from this battle.
It just does not have the pace today in that number 16, unfortunately. I don't think we're going to get any attacks down into Canada Corner, so it sounds like we have an incident with Jungbluth and the Nissans that might have happened. See if we can check this replay, figure out exactly what happened to him. Coming through 13A. This is down into the final corner. Saw a little smoke. Oh no! Who was that he got into there?
I think that might have been Theodore Burns.
Watch from Jungbluth's view. Oh, we can see him spinning very early. Looks to the inside. Oh, it just doesn't hold the brakes. The DH driver takes a hard hit. We have to go back to the lead of the Audis, though, because Malia made another go at it. couldn't pull it off this time, and this time he doesn't get side-by-side either. So they're going to stay line astern. Your order for the lead in GTO is Trangarade, Malia, Ruola. Not missing anything up at the top of the Nissans. That split apart slightly. Another big slipstream from Malia. And twice now, he runs out of track before he can make a serious attack.
We do have a pass for position here coming up the straight. Franco Scurry getting by Brian Shanahan. Down into the left-hander here. Getting through 5 clean. Takes the position away. So that's Scurry up a spot. Gets himself inside the top 10 now.
Fans of Keith Ritchie, he's got himself back on the podium. He finally disposed of Olenek, and Olenek actually has trouble with Jamie Hall up his inside. Oh, almost gets into his... Oh, the other Toyota turns him around, and then he gets piled into. Keith Ritchie's championship hopes could be running away. Side-by-side action, tries to get late on the brakes to defend from the outside, but too late, and gets into the number 2 of Ritchie. That was that Hill getting into him? Or was that Bycroft? This is Fabian Gerber's view of the incident. Oh, it's Mukanos that got him. Oof. Yeah.
Tough break for Nick there. He was just riding along, minding his own business.
Yeah, he had very few places to go. Well, that unfortunately puts him down into 8th. And do I see right, Keith Ritchie? Did he take a tow?
Yep, he has towed it.
Oh. And, on screen, I think we just saw Steve Bycroft have a major moment coming out of Canada corner. There he is right there. He lost traction coming off that bend, and that sends him down to 8th. He was in 6th before. Early on in the race, we're seeing Nissans with some big trouble.
Malia taking another look at it here, Joe. Got to the inside, can't quite come up along, though. Just a better run there for Trangarade.
Trangarade, like you said, it has no time to relax at all in any of these races today.
Yeah, I want to know what the Scandinavian had for lunch today.
I think he had his Wheaties for breakfast, that's for sure.
Something, man. We may need... Oh, Ardo with trouble getting through traffic?
Our leader, let's see if we can figure out what happened on the replay. No, this is driver error. Coming through turn 6, just takes a little too hot into there, and Carl Jansen, like taking candy from a baby, slips into P1.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough to get back.
Well, he's got traffic if he wants it. And look at this right there, going through the kink. He has to hold up a little bit. Yamaki gets onto the back of him. Up next, they've got one more Audi to the outside, and that is Pedro Ferreira, who slips out of the way.
They're gonna come ruffle my buddy up here, Ben Laughter. We talked about that quiet race he's having. He's having a nice stroll out there, and they're gonna catch him in a great spot right here on the straightaway. Good job.
There you go, as they ease on by Ben Laughter. And actually, this might work out better for Jansen, depending on when Iamaki catches him. These Audis have a great bit of speed on the straights, but not so much in the braking zone, and Iamaki slides it to the inside.
Here, a little bit of give and take there, which was a smart idea. The last thing in the world I want to do if I'm Ben Laughter is do anything to upset the car at this point. He is sitting in a perfect position.
Well, yeah, and he's not battling with anybody directly, so really no reason to try and make that a more difficult thing for Iamaki. But here's where it gets complicated, Sean. Up first is Houghton, then all in a row. De Jong, Schlacher, Ruola, Trangarade, and Malia, and we missed the pass. Malia's managed to get into the lead.
And Malia took care of business at the, I'm sorry, Joe, he took care of business going down the hill, the long straight into the left-hander.
We'll get to it
Turn
later. We need
5.
to watch this fight for the GTP lead as they slice through our GTO leaders. Around the outside, Janssen enjoys the extra downforce of the Nissan. Now our podium. Oh, and he's going to catch them in the kink. How patient is he going to be? Very patient. Loses a lot of time behind Ruola. And here comes the flying Iamaki. The Finn gets bottled up behind the Swede. Can't do anything. They come down to Canada corner. And Malia gives room at the apex, but Iamaki doesn't take it. Not brave enough. That loses him time. But it does bring together the fight between Malia, Tranquerate, and Ruola as they come to the front stretch.
Well, it was, oh, and one of the Nissans is off back
That was
there.
Olenek.
That was
No, Hall.
Jimmy Hall.
Oh, and he's still trying to catch it. The bumps with that low-slung Nissan are not friendly. He eventually gets it back.
Still in third. Nicholas Mukanos is not caught up yet.
Back up to this battle for the lead in the GTOs. Tranquerate trying to get it back. He's lost the lead once today, and that one stung. It cost him second in the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship. Today, I don't believe, is he fighting for the championship here? Where is he in the points?
Oh, Joe, you have to ask me that. I'll tell you in just a second.
All right, well, in the meantime, as we watch on screen, he gets to the inside using that slipstream down into turn 5. The Moraine sweep hands the lead over to the Norwegian of Ove. Tranquerate and Malia has no answer in turn 6.
Yeah, Ove is solid in the points championship in second.
All right, so this is just for pride at this point.
Yeah.
Still these three not able to get away from one another. They are splitting away from 4th, 5th, and 6th. Schlacher, De Jong, and Houghton are very much split up now.
Now, I will tell you that the battle that really we need to keep an eye on for points' sake is Laughter and Houghton. Only 4 points separate those two, and Laughter is following right now and quickly slipping further down the field behind Houghton as Houghton's.
Oh, that is the car that we see of Stefan Schlacher trying to hold on to it somehow. Woo! Can we get an onboard replay of that one? We might have to come back to it later because still got great battles going on between Olenek and Mukanos, as well as Gerber. Gerber gets holed up. Here comes Mukanos around the outside. Can't do anything with it. Gets bottled up behind an Audi. In fact, it's the 3rd place Audi. This is our podium that they're trying to get through.
This is insane.
Gerber under threat. Here comes Mukanos. Lifts, though. Doesn't want to try and risk cutting off the... Oh, the battle for the lead as Malia looks to the inside. We go 3 wide with a Nissan sneaking through. Malia finally overtakes Tranquerade. Behind him, that is Steve Bycroft trying to get through now.
How can you not love this? Folks, are you entertained?
I don't think we're going to get that onboard replay. We'll have to maybe get it post-race or something because we got to stick with this fight. Tranquerade may have lost the lead. He could lose 2nd place because Vili Ruola looks to the inside as they break for turn 5. He is way too far back to make that stick, though. We're going to look at the replay of the pass for the lead. This is coming down to turn 1, using just all the distraction around him, if anything. 1 car goes by, 2 cars go by. Somehow he holds the line. Tranquerade almost takes all the way out to the grass just to ensure the car holds together. And in all of that, the New Yorker of Malia gets himself into 1st. Boy, they feel like gladiators. You've asked if people were entertained. Prototypes 5th. Olenek, his troubles are not over as Nicholas Mukanos has now rocked up to that rear wing. He's got Clayton McLeod behind as well. No traffic in front of them at the moment.
Man, Martin Kraytriek's bad day just continues. He had a slide right in front of the Audi leaders down at Canada Corner. Everything's okay. Everybody got through, but it was a little tense.
So we stay on Mukanos there in the red, white, and yellow machine, or black, white, and yellow machine. These four are all fighting for 5th position. The train is Olenek, Mukanos, McLeod, Bycroft. This is where we see the drastic difference between these two machines, Sean, is that the Nissan really does not put that big of a hole in the air. The draft battles almost seem non-existent for these cars.
At times, Joe, it is, and certainly this is a good course that exposes that. You'd think there'd be more of it, but no, it sits very, very low and doesn't create, well, it just doesn't create the kind of drag that these bigger cars like the Audi do.
As we switch over to the GTO class once again, Ove gets it back. Malia has no answer, or does he? He's on him. Just not, there's not enough grip in that turn 6 to try and pull it back. And still these three are together. Raola having to get the napkin out. So much butter on his popcorn right now.
I'll tell you what, Raola, no surprise to me to see him here. I guess what's surprising is that all three are actually still together this deep into the race right now. We approach 10 laps to go, or thereabouts.
They've got John Hill coming up behind them as well. He could throw a wrench into things. They start to separate themselves from Raola as he has a bad run through the kink. Here comes Malia. He's closing in. He decides to stay in line as they break for Canada Corner. Now you can see the Nissan of Hill closing in. Might catch them in a good spot here. He's waiting behind Raola. Tries to stick his nose in through the final corner, and that's going to cost Raola tons of time. And Hill has to worry about Emberton. This is a battle for position.
Yeah.
So is it for the lead, though. Malia up the inside, coming down to turn 1. We've seen this a few times now. He's fully passed by the braking zone, but here comes Trangarade back at him. Way late on the brakes, but can he carry it off the corner? He's trying hard. Hill decides to back out of it. Oh, now he sticks his nose in. He's going to split the two.
Oh, here comes Raola. Oh, Raola thought about getting to the inside of the Trangarade there, but doesn't pull it off.
Raola's got to run if he wants it. He's going to use the air off of the back of David Miller. Oh, but Trangarade uses him as a pick, making sure that he can't go anywhere at the apex. That was one of the most clever defenses, but it's all for naught because Raola tries to go for the inside of turn 6. It's going to switch back into 7. Trangarade does hold him off. He might get one more bite of the apple as the Finn holds to the left, coming down to the hurried downs, and it's just not enough.
Even though they were fighting for that position, they managed to get John Maya to back up to them just a little bit there. He had to deal with that traffic coming through.
Can't forget the top of the prototypes. Ian Maki, despite his mistake, has been holding Janssen honest. There's 7/10 between P1 and P2 in the prototype class. And for Ian Maki, this could be the team's championship. Where is his teammate, actually? Oh, what happened to Schlacher out of 4th?
You know what? Schlacher was trying to get by Michel De Jong, and they got locked up heading into Canada Corner. You'll see here.
This will raise the hairs on your arm. Oh, getting together, both cars locking it up, trying to keep them out of the wall. Both cars at least keep going, but De Jong comes out the better. Let's watch from on board the Benelux driver.
That's about
Wow.
as good. That's about as good of a controlled slide as you see.
That's that four-wheel drive coming in
Yeah.
handy. Up at the front, another attack for second place. Here comes Rula on the
Ooh.
Norwegian, and he goes way out, way too hot into the corner. That's going to give it up.
Wow.
Don, we haven't talked about it yet, but I think it's starting to come into play. The tires on these cars can't last forever.
No.
These guys have been fighting hard.
They have been running them ragged, Joe, since the green flag dropped. These three Audis here are starting to show signs of wear, and we'll probably start seeing that in the times here over the next couple laps. But Ove just cooked it right there, and that is. One, he's wanting to try and hold station. He's trying to be defensive on the overtake, but sometimes you lose sight, and you cook it there into a turn that's hard on the car, hard on the tires, and he'll probably pay for it here for another half a lap or so.
Well, this allows John Malia to start to put a gap between himself and Raola, roughly a second between them now. Now, we haven't talked a whole lot about it, but Fabian Gerber up in fourth. I mean, he's seen a little bit of action, but we haven't shown him on screen a lot. He's new to this car, and we've seen, Sean, it is not easy to get up to the front of this GTP class.
No, not at all. No. First of all, okay, this car's got a ton of speed and a ton of grip. You're not used to driving cars like that. It is a bit of an adjustment. The lines change totally, Joe. In this track, Road America here, the lines are so important. There's so many high-speed turns, especially for this Nissan, that it takes a little bit of practice, man. You don't figure it out in a day. I'm watching right now Michael Houghton actually try to take down Michel de Jong. This is for fourth place.
We go on board with Houghton.
Houghton was just right up the wing there of that Audi. And here he goes. He's going to try and make a move from the outside, heading down into turn 5.
Side by side, around the outside. Houghton, unfortunately, bobbling back and forth, trying to keep the car steady. He gives another go at de Jong, but de Jong's got the inside up into 6. And he'll have to settle for 5th place for now, but he's certainly got de Jong on the ropes.
And they've got the Nissan of Jeff Oakley there just following them. Now Jeffrey's at the end of the Nissan field right now, but he's letting them race in front of him. Stefan Schlacher, very much part of this conversation. He's that blue and white car, the 15.
Let's hope it stays a peaceful conversation instead of an argument as they come up to the kink. De Jong, he had to fend off one threat. Now he's got a second one, and if they fight too much, Stefan might get right back into things. Let's see if we have an attempt into Canada corner. Looks like no for now, so let's jump over to 6 in the prototypes, as that fight has closed in between Mukanos, McLeod, and Bycroft. Now, you talked about being used to these high downforce cars. If anything, we should point out both Bycroft and Gerber have come over from the Lotus 79, which is a car very similar to this one.
Right, sure. So you would think maybe the adjustment not quite as much. I will tell you from having...
Whoa! That was Brian Shanahan and the Audi having a huge scare with Clayton McLeod as we rode on board with McLeod. Or no, we were on board with Bycroft, I believe.
Yeah, and honestly, Joe, I was watching that. I thought we were reacting to the same thing. Billy Raola had a huge moment back in turn 3.
I think this is turn 1, actually.
Turn 1. It was turn 1. And he just cooks it, getting in there. You're going to see him run all the way out into the sand here.
Shows you just how easy it is to lose it in these cars. Oh, and Houghton gets it right after that. This is still on replay. Oh, look at that bob and weave. Goes around the outside, ducks it back in, and then just uses the run and gun off the corner of the grunt of the car to just go on by. We come back live. Ruola is dropping off. We mentioned those tires. I think Ruola's lockup has caused him a whole lot of hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely slowed him down for now. He's got time, Joe. There's still just under 11 minutes to go. Hopefully he can get enough recovery in those tires to get back to the front here. It's only about a second and a half. Remember, Ove Trendegrade, John Maya, they've been pushing hard too. Would not be out of the realm of possibility for them to suffer some kind of mistake here themselves.
And this could be potentially the second time that Trendegrade started on the pole and finishes second if things finish how they are. Over in the GTPs, Ardu Yamaki, who was within 7/10, has found himself slipping backwards. It's now 3 seconds between himself and Janssen.
Janssen coming through the leaders now, Joe.
Not sure if that was a mistake or just traffic. Oh, Jeffrey Oakley is smoking in the pits, which tells me that he had a big issue somewhere. Looks like coming out of the carousel, he unfortunately had a run-in. Actually, he got tipped by Michel de Jong. There was contact in that, but we might not be able to get that replay, unfortunately. So we watch Carl Janssen continue to lead this race. He showed up in the Audis. He won some races, disappeared for a bit, decided to reappear in the faster class. Could he also get himself a nice little win in the final race of the season over here? No prize money in this championship, so unfortunately won't be going to IKEA after this for the Swede.
And it was so close. Iamaki at the left-hander there, getting by John Maya. Yeah, let's look at the replay of that real quick if we can. This is turn 8, Joe. They go through the turn side by side and almost make contact. I mean, it is ever so close.
You could see from how late he dove in there. We'll get a better view of how close they got side to side from above here as we ride in the helicopter.
I'm not even so sure Maya sees him right there when he comes up and in there.
He gives him space at the apex, but just enough.
Yeah.
Well, this brings Trendegrade back into the mix. Oh, and Malia way off the apex through 13A. Doesn't lose too much time. This is the important corner. Getting the power down off that final bend. They are about dead even as they string it up the hill. Well, this is happening behind them. De Jong and Houghton in a battle for fourth. Look at this. De Jong with a great run coming up the outside into turn 1. But can he get it done? Houghton says, no, you can't. Takes a defensive line into 3. They've got some traffic coming up. That's Jamie Hall and Fabian Gerber. That's for a podium spot that these two have to worry about. Must have ran into something somewhere along the line. That's big damage on the rear wing. And it looks like Houghton's going to try and use him as a pick as he defends the inside. Hall has a big lockup down into 5. That's going to cost him time. Houghton trying to hold the inside line to keep de Jong from getting around him. Both Nissans streaking by, finally leaving them be. They're going to get one more in the form of Olenek. Oh, Olenek almost gets chopped off at the nose down in the hurry downs. Now he gets through. Intense stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, Houghton and de Jong, they're going to have to continue to battle with this traffic coming through. It's not over. Not over. He's off.
Clayton McLeod and Michel de Jong come together. Both are able to keep going, but I think both got into the wall. And you know, that to me looks like a racing incident, Sean, because
Yeah.
De Jong, he's focused ahead. He's in a battle. McLeod wants to try and get by because he's trying to catch the car ahead, who's he's in a battle with. And you can't have eyes everywhere. Wow, they're both lucky that they did not get more damage from the huge marks they left along the concrete. Well, this both allows Houghton to pull a little bit of a gap, and Olenek as well to get himself away from McLeod.
Boy, John Maya is starting to open things up here on Ove Trenggrade at the top of the GTO field, Joe. Everybody trying to get through turn 5.
Big ol' slide from Trenggrade, abusing those tires. He only needs them for 5 more minutes.
Trenggrade trying to summon the great god Odin for a little help, something, anything.
Well, Rolla caught him a little bit with that Nissan having to try and get through in turn 7. It's not the lead that Trenggrade is worried about now. It's Vili Ruola behind him as he continues to drop. It's now a 2.5 seconds up to Malia. Oh man, these Nissans just stick themselves in exactly where you don't want. Rolla gets a little payback with the traffic as Bycroft goes to the inside of the kink. Traffic I didn't think would be as big of an issue around here, but it is really just wreak horrors on some of these drivers' races.
It's proven to be frustrating at times, Joe. It has, yeah.
So we look at the battle for third. I feel like Hall's damage is enough that he's got to be slowed up by that. Gerber is trying to take advantage. At least it's not as bad as what we saw at Oulton Park last week.
Oh, no kidding. You know, the thing is, Gerber's battling with a little bit of damage himself, and I wonder if that's what's holding him up, just trying to get the Hall here.
So then 0.3 seconds now. Ooh, straight line speed of Hall not looking good as Gerber looks to the inside in 5, but just a psychological move. Trying to shake the UK&I driver. Podium up for grabs here in the final 3 minutes. But Jamie Hall responds and starts to stretch away from Gerber.
Schlacher, De Jong battling here back for 5th in the Audis. In fact, De Jong just gets by Schlacher. They're trading positions back and forth.
Oh, he's a little wide at the exit of 6, and this is going to hurt him. Here comes Schlacher back at him through turn 7. Just can't carry enough speed as they go by a slow car. That is Spencer Kimball. Martin Krejcik sees the battle, tries to stay at him. He's going to use the downforce to go around the outside of the carousel.
Use the downforce, Martin.
These two just cannot get away from one another. Remember, it was Schlacher and De Jong that got into each other in this very corner. And here comes Schlacher at him again. He's going to give it another go, but De Jong takes the apex, holds him off for 5th for now.
How many races Schlacher's watched from Road America? You don't generally see people diving to the inside in Canada corner trying to make that move. We're more worried about getting through Canada corner than trying to actually overtake somebody.
Sometimes what one doesn't know, or sometimes one can't be hurt by what one doesn't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's true. And he's getting a run up the straightaway here. But look, De Jong goes to the inside. We're focusing on Jansen now. Sorry about that. All right, we're back to it. Here we go. Side by side through turn 1, Joe.
Door to door, and it's going to be a drag race to turn 3. De Jong with a slight edge ahead and the inside as they hit the right-hander. Almost banging doors again. De Jong takes it away, and still fends off for that 5th position. Going to be getting a white flag soon, but let's stay on this. De Jong holds the inside down into 5. Schlacher tries to set himself up for the run off the corner, but it doesn't pay off. And we are indeed on the final lap as Carl Janssen didn't start on the pole, but it was a mistake from Arto Iamaki that handed it over. In fact, we really haven't given him a whole lot of screen time. The Swede probably appreciates it.
I keep wanting to call him Brother Carl after Carl Edwards, but it just doesn't fit. It's just, it doesn't sound right.
Oh, and we just saw the pass for 3rd as Fabian Gerber, with 1 lap to go, takes that Nissan onto the podium. Disappointment for Jamie Hall. No, I like Bill Zahn's name for him. This is Yan the Man.
Yan the Man.
As he works his way around the carousel. He's going to come up on a little bit of Audi traffic, but really no issue for him. He's got 2.5 seconds. He can give up a little time if he wants to. Catches him at a perfect spot on the exit of the kink. We were asking a little bit earlier in the broadcast, since he won in the Audi, can he win in the Nissan? Well, with a few more corners, we're going to get the answer to that question. Hailing from Sweden, Carl Janssen takes it around the final corner and accelerates up the hill to take his first win in the Nissan on the broadcast races. P1 for Janssen. Meanwhile, we get a whole half a lap to watch this battle, because not only has Trangarade caught back up to Malia, but here comes Philly Rolla.
Ove going to take one last stab at the... Oh, man.
The roles have been reversed. Last race, Trangarade was in the lead the whole way, fending off. This time, he's been slotted down to 2nd, has been trying to play catch-up to John Malia, the New Yorker. Started himself off in 2nd. Managed to get by for 1st, but it has been a slugfest between these top 3. They start to drop the car of Rolla as we've got Lewis Emerton coming up behind him. Is he aware that this is a fight for the lead?
I sure hope so.
He gets by 1. And he gets by the other. Compromises the line just slightly for John Malia. Ducks to the inside. Can we see a run off the corner for Trangarade? He's very close behind. Just a car length between them. Much tighter the apex. Can't quite sneak through. He's got 1 corner, and he could get the draft. If he gets the run off there, he could snatch it from the jaws of John Malia. But it's not close enough as they come to the line. The New Yorker takes the win from P2 here in the GTO class.
Always been consistent, Joe.
Oh, not the kind of consistency he wants, though.
Wow, I'm kind of gutted for him, to be honest with you. I was pulling for him there at the end. Jeez.
He'll have all week 13 to think about it. Michel de Jong, a nice 5th for him.
Yeah, what a near-perfect run for Ville Ruola. I mean, he's the real underdog there. I mean, that was solid, man.
Great stuff from all drivers that we watched today. So with that, we're going to come back after we have a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel with the official results, as well as driver interviews. And on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Road America. We just watched the final round of Season 1 in 2018 for the iRacing Kamel GT Series. And in the end, Carl Janssen returns and finds himself some redemption by taking a win after getting a podium last week at Oulton Park, continuing to improve. Ardo Iamaki has to be a little bit disappointed having started on the pole and finishing second today. A mistake surely cost him in turn 6. Fabian Gerber, great job going from the Lotus 79 over here to the Nissan GTP, getting a podium today. Jamie Hall gets a 4th, and Nicholas Mukanos takes home a top 5. Rob Olenek, unfortunately, started on the front row and fell all the way to 6. Clayton McLeod certainly had a scare in the kink today, and, well, that gets him no better than 7th. Steve Bycroft finishes in 8th, and John Keefe in 9th. Lewis Emerton, we saw some good battles that he had out on track and some scary moments. He gets a top 10. David Miller finishes 11th, and then John Hill takes home 12th, the last of the Nissans that finished today.
All right, John Malia, your big winner, the New Yorker, with a great race and a great battle with Ove Trentgrade and Billy Raiola, who finished 2nd and 3rd, respectively, filling out this podium. And Michael Houghton with a 7th place finish today. Michel Dijon will take the 5th place there. And let's see, going on back to 6th, it's Ben Laughter, 7th, Riley Thompson. Phil Lake will finish 8th in his first try here in the outing. Not a bad day. Franco Scurry, 9th. Stefan Schlacker will finish 10th. 11th goes to Tanner McCullough. Brian Shanahan will take 12th. Spencer Kemble will finish this race in 13th. Now, your Nissans there a little further back. It's going to be Theodore Burns, 13th in class. Martin Kreitrick there in 14th in class. Jeffrey Oakley is going to finish 15th in class. Then Pedro Ferreira and his Audi will finish 14th in class, 29th overall. Keith Ritchie, a little bit further back for Keith today in 16th class. Fabian Jungbluth will finish last in the field of Nissans. And then your last 3 Audis, Alan Davison, Marco Kika, and Hideki Koivica, who got locked up early and never recovered from it, Joe.
Sad to see, but great to see for Carl Janssen, our winner, who has joined us after the celebrations. So let's talk to Carl about a victory now in the faster class. You've won in both cars, so I have to ask, Carl, which do you prefer?
At this point in time, I think it's the Nissans.
Well, this season you weren't competing for either of the Drivers' Championship. Will you be back next season in the Kamel Series, and will you be competing for one of the Drivers' Championships?
Maybe we will have to see what happens next season with the LMP1s getting released and all that. And
yeah, always the temptation to jump over to the shiny new toy. Now, early on, you were being led by Iamaki, and it seemed like you weren't able to really try and close in and challenge him. If he hadn't have made that mistake, do you think you would have been able to try and take over the lead, or was he too fast for you?
I don't know. It's difficult to say because the aero push was really bad around there, especially around the carousel. You lost about 2 or 3 tenths there every lap, so it was super close to get close. It was super hard to get close. But I think the overall pace was there.
Well, with the season now done and next season coming up, what track are you most looking forward to racing next season?
No idea. No idea at all.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. Congratulations on P1, and hope to see you next season.
Yeah, see you later.
With that, I believe we have 4th place finisher in the GTO class waiting in the wings, and Sean is going to talk to Michael Houghton.
Okay. Now, Mike, I'm going to ask you a question real quick because, there's often debate about this, but being a Texan, I've always felt like the correct way to pronounce your name is Houghton. Is that correct?
Yeah, Houghton, yes.
Okay. So that, guys, it's been
resolved.
That settles that. Hey, what a battle out there today. We didn't think traffic would be that big of an issue here at Road America. It was pretty tense for you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, I felt like I could keep up with the lead pack, but as soon as the Nissan started coming by and breaking up the group, it was very hard to keep up with the lead. And once they started pulling away, that was pretty much it. And then it was between me, De Jong, and Stefan pretty much the rest of the race.
Yeah, and Stefan was having a great drive and then found a little bit of trouble, but boy, that battle was one thing I want to ask you, okay? And I practice the cars a lot, but I don't really do any official racing in them. What are the sight lines like in the Audi when the traffic's really, really coming through that thick?
Sight lines, define that for me.
What can you see? Anything? I mean, when they're
as far as from left to right, it's very hard to see because the car is pretty small. So a lot of the parts of the car block, especially the right side view. But other than that, I don't find it that challenging. I mean, unless you're driving without the virtual mirror, the real mirror, that's a pain in the butt.
So it helps you, in your opinion, it helps to use that virtual mirror in this car?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So what are your plans for next season, Mike?
Well, if the Kamel GT series is still happening, I'll be here in the Audi. If not, hey, new LMP1s, baby.
Yeah, those are coming, but we have it on pretty good authority that the Kamel GT series is strong and it's going to be rolling right on. So I guess that means we hope to see you.
I'll be doing both then.
Excellent. Anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go, bud?
I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you for doing an amazing job throughout the season and these past few seasons I've been racing in Kamel. To my teammate Ben Laughter, we'll be doing Kamel again next season, so it'll be good to see him back there. And to all the guys in the Kamel GT series, thank you for racing hard, and see you next season.
All right, guys, and that was Michael Houghton. A great day for me. He got to fight and was challenged and winds up fourth. And Joe, I think you're going to talk to Stefan Schlacker, one of the guys that was involved in that battle we were just talking about.
Absolutely. Gave us a lot of good action out there on track. Stefan, you were up fighting for fourth, and then we see that you fell down the order towards the end. What happened at the end of the race? We were covering other stuff we didn't get to see.
It's more like my setup was on especially at the front, a bit too aggressive. So I knew that I'm gonna fall off at the end. So I just really tried to give it all my best in the first 3/4 of the race, and then try to salvage something off of it. But yeah, it wasn't really my race today.
How important is the setup in this Audi? Is it something that really makes a difference in pace, or do you feel like it's more of a driver's car?
It's more of a driver's car, but if you got a really good setup, it can really get a lot out of your car. We're not talking here a few tenths, but we're actually also talking a few seconds there that you can actually get out of the car with the right setup.
Wow. So it sounds like it's critically important, if anything, if you want to be up at the front. Well, next season is coming up in 2 weeks. Are you going to be back at least?
Yes, sir. I'm going to be back.
All right. Well, we hope to see you there, and commiserations on what was maybe a little bit of a disappointing finish today.
Yeah, quite a bit. I also broke my shifter in the last turn, so yeah.
Ouch.
Never fun. Well, we'll see it when that gets fixed. Have a good day, Stefan.
Thanks, you too.
Stefan Schlacker, who finished well down the order, unfortunately. But Sean has caught up with a driver who's a little bit higher up. Ben Laughter is talking to him.
Laughter everywhere. Ben Laughter. That's a pretty good race, man.
Pretty lonely one. The only reason I got that P6 at the end was because Stefan simply lost it. It looked like coming off the last corner. So I didn't deserve that, except that I just sort of kept it clean all race and had my own space.
Hey, listen, when you go back and watch the replay, we lauded you for that clean race you were having, and the fact that you had no pressure to really work with, and you made the most of it, man. That was not a bad drive at all. This is a challenging track. We've asked everybody else what the traffic was like. How did it feel for you? It looks like the car came in pretty clean.
Up and down. There was one really aggressive situation in turn one for me that sort of jumped out in a negative way. But other than that, it was just the regular give and take of traffic, in this series where you're going to win a little and lose a little bit every time a Nissan's coming around you.
Well, Ben, been a great season, another great season with the Camel GT series, and you've been around since we got started with you guys. You already looking forward to season 2 here in 2018?
You know it. I sent my donation in just today for the GSRC broadcast next season. So I'm a paying contributor and demand my check in the mail. I look forward to next week.
Yeah, well, and we're looking forward to seeing that schedule when it comes out. So I think we have an idea of the tracks. We just don't know where everything is going. But listen, it seems like this series continues to gain steam several times this season. We saw it split. And that always means more points for you guys. But the Camel GT series, I would say, is on the rise, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially those specific time slots. I say it at the end of some of my streams. If you're considering entrance into this series, if you can race on a Saturday or a Sunday, you're going to get a great big field. During the week, it's practice time, but Saturdays and Sundays, it's you get great racing with great drivers.
And you know what? I don't think that could be said enough. You said it, practice time. You really need practice time in these cars. These two machines are unlike any other vehicle on the iRacing service. Wouldn't you agree to that?
Absolutely, yeah. If you're used to getting into a GT3 car and being up to speed in the first 15 laps and expect that to translate here, it will not. You have to work at these cars, but the payoff is amazing.
And hey, do us a favor real quick. Plug your stream. We want to know where you're at, man.
Yeah, it's just I don't have like a direct link. It's just go to YouTube and search for Ben Laughter. It's probably 90% Camel GT iRacing content, and of course my stellar Daytona 500 win this year. But
you did get a win in the 500. Did we talk about this already?
No, I don't think so. But it was like split 700, so it doesn't really count. I'm not an oval driver.
No, it does count, man. A win is a win is a win. You got paid points for that. Good job.
Yeah. So. Right. Anyway, but thank you guys. Look forward to Mind Trick next season. Rumor has it that there might be a new 80s corporate sponsor, maybe Commodore's losing out the battle to Windows a little bit, and maybe a new a corporate sponsor from the 1980s might be donning the side of the car. So look out for that surprise.
Atari, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. Watch for the surprise.
All right, Ben. Hey, thank you very much. Great season, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Great work as always.
All right, Joe. I think that wraps up things here in the Camel GT season 1 in 2018 here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
It does indeed. We're looking forward to next season as we love covering these guys. And a big thank you to the Camel GT community for coming back for 2018 season 1 and for having us come back for season 2. As we said, it's Gonna happen, so there's no doubt on that. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. We're also now on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Next race, as we said, don't know the schedule yet, but it'll be March 17th. That'll be at 12 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.